Welcome to the Made in the Mist podcast, the podcast for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. Now please welcome your hosts, Emma, Sam, and Dan.
Welcome everybody to another amazing episode of the Made in the Mist podcast. Today we have another special guest coming right here from the Niagara region. He is a boss. Please help me welcome the man, the magician, the musician, the marketer, everything MMMM. Please help me welcome Matty G in the building today. No relation to Kenny G, the amazing sax player, but Matty G's in the building. Matt Guarasci. Thank you so much for joining us today. How you doing?
Thanks, man. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here in your new setup here. It's great. You guys
The
did a
new
really
think
good
tank.
job.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course we're joined with our host here as well, Emma and Sam. Emma, Sam, how are you guys doing today?
Pretty well,
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, enjoying the last bits of summer.
Exactly, yeah. And I like being here with all the green space because we can just keep this going throughout the year. So
Exactly.
it'll stay on theme.
Summer all year round. So we didn't get to notice that it was a black and white affair today. So we got colored on one
We
side.
didn't get the memo.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. This will be the more exciting side today.
Hopefully.
No, we'll see.
Yeah, so for those who don't know what the podcast is about, what we do is we interview the best entrepreneurs from the Niagara region, specifically from Niagara Falls, and we find out, what makes them tick, what makes some of their tricks, what makes them the person they are today, what is their secret sauce to success, and everything that we need to know in order for you entrepreneurs to better your lifestyle and become the best entrepreneurs you can be. So, Matt, a lot of people don't know who you are. So can you give a little bit of background of how you came to the Matt that we have here today?
For sure. First off, I want to say thanks for that intro of the M thing. I'm thinking
Triple M.
Yeah, I might take that. Yeah. I was like, wow, that's very...
Copyright on that one, please.
I'll send you your 10% royalties in the mail.
I'm thinking 25.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nice. That's good.
You learned his negotiation skills from me.
Yeah.
Watching a lot of Shark Tank, haven't you?
Yeah.
Or Dragon's Den.
That's great, man. Yeah. Well, no, I thank you so much again for having me here. Yeah, I guess like how I really kind of got started was I've always had a passion for just bringing really like unrealistic ideas kind of like to life, or just figuring out a way to kind of make things possible. And I started doing that from a young age. When I was playing in rock bands and bands, I was always the person who was like, sitting in on like the label meetings, or sitting in with, the booking agent stuff, or all like the business stuff. I think I kind of naturally developed a business acumen through those kind of channels growing up. And then once I turned into like my early 20s, that's why I just kind of took those transferable skills and then turned them into different things, which my company now services, like social media, photo, video, web design, influencer management, and event planning. So that's the main things that we focus on now. And I learned all of that at the grassroots from being in bands.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny. I had a story to share here of Matt and his band. So,
Oh, yeah.
In my previous life, I think it probably was 10 years ago now. Matt Guarasci was in one of the most exciting bands of the era, kind of like a pop.
Yeah, pop like R&B. Yeah,
exactly. So they had one, and one of my close friends was actually part of that as well too.
Yeah. Shout out Anthony Visca.
Yeah, Visca. So what happened is, I get a call from Visca and say, "Hey guys, we're gonna be shooting a music video. We need some extras in here." And I was like, "Okay. I mean, I'll be an extra in the video." I had nothing going for me at that time.
This is my thing. Extra music video, Wikipedia page.
This is my breakout scene.
Yeah, Dan thought this was his big break.
Little did I know that I was like not just an extra, but I had to like do dances in the video and stuff like that, coordinating dancing and everything.
Where's
And
this video?
We should find a clip and put it up. I'll send you guys a link to it afterwards.
It was amazing, but so cool. It was so cool. And that's actually where I met you, and I was like, this guy is so energetic. And then I started following you on your social media, and you have quite an iconic music career for such a young age. I mean, you were at Abbey Park.
Yeah,
Studio, right?
Abbey Road. Abbey Roads Studios. Yeah, I was one of the youngest independent Canadians to ever record in the same room as the Beatles. Which, when I found that out, I was like, wow, that is like absolutely like insane. That was one of the craziest things. And one of like, we can talk about like the power of the universe or manifestation or whatever, but growing up, there was one poster in the basement of my where my drum set was set up, and it was the album cover of the Abbey Road Studios, and it was massive. It was like probably like maybe like 4 feet maybe by like maybe like 2.5 feet. So it took up a good like
I used to have
chunk
those
of
posters.
space. Yeah. So I would that was like the poster, and it's still there to this day. So it's like whenever I'd be done practicing, you look around, not really much in the basement other than the poster. Then fast forward like 6 or 7 years later or whatever like the time frame was, and all of a sudden it's like instead of looking up at the poster, I'm looking up like and I'm in the studio. That was like one of the coolest moments of my entire life for sure.
Yeah,
I was
it's
22.
kind of full circle, right?
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of those posters as well in my base. I think we got those from like the book fairs.
Yeah, exactly. Fun fairs.
Yeah,
back in
I
the
think
day,
I had the Oasis, I had the Killers, I had the Pink Floyd one as well. Too. I used to have a music space too. My music career was pretty much died the day I tried.
Are you still recording it all today? Do you still participate?
I still like I said. Well, but now with running the business and everything like that, I just session play with the different like rock bands mostly. Most recently, I played with Revive the Rose but did a 2-year stint with them and like played a lot of bigger shows throughout COVID with the Trues. They have the same management team as the Trues. They're in like that sort of realm, so which is really cool. And yeah, we did some tours around Southern Ontario, and then now we're gonna be doing some other stuff and. Whatever happens, they have another drummer right now that's playing in the band, but I'm sure my journey with them and other music things is far from over. So,
Yeah, and I mean, what I've noticed, Matt, from you is that you used to promote yourself a lot as a musician online, and
that was
and
like
you kind of
thing.
got into that sweet spot where influencers were just coming out, and in a sense, you were essentially an influencer for the music industry here in the Niagara region. When did you make that transition to say, okay, you know what? I can be an influencer not only for myself, I can help manage other influencers as well. I can help manage other people. And was that something that you always had in the back of your mind, like since high school? Or did you kind of, in any post-secondary, did you kind of take education to get into that? Or was it just kind of like, hey, I have a talent that was untapped, I need to really exploit it?
You know what? That's a good question. And part of me says I'm still figuring that out. But a part of me is like, I think I would know if I was a musician and if I were to manage someone, I would want to manage someone how I would want to manage them. Like, so say, I almost like talking to myself in like third person where, I've been through all of the BS in like a lot of stuff when it comes to like these negotiations or royalty splits or whatever. And I have not had like in the grand scheme of things, a massive level of success in like an international level. That to me is like where I want to go. But where I've learned all of that stuff was going through all like the hard times, like being in a band with that. And I feel like it wasn't really like untapped. School definitely opened up a lot of doors for me. I went to Brock. I took business communications at Brock, and I feel like I've met a lot of people. There's still some people there that now work at like some of the biggest labels in the country, and we work together now. We always have like that Brock commonality between us. So instead of like going through this secretary or whatever, it's like I can just call you right now, so it's been very beneficial in terms of like relationships and stuff that I've been able to develop over the years. But I actually took a mentorship program with the team who manages Simple Plan, Our Lady Peace. I got accepted as one of the top.
OLP.
As one of the I got selected as one of the top artist managers in the country to be selected for this program that you have to apply and get vetted for. And I was really appreciative that I got that experience. And they gave me some really good piece of advice, was that you are going to work with so much talent in your day in like a whole variety of ways, but you'll be really lucky if one or two stick with you. And another good piece of advice is most managers fall into the management game not on purpose. It's just something that they feel like they just had to do out of necessity. And I felt like I had to do that out of necessity with like the bands and stuff that I was playing in, where it was like, okay, we want to go ahead and tour and do this. Okay, well, what's going to be like the first step? Are we going to get a booking agent? Are we going to do it ourselves? Or how are we going to cross promote? What's the marketing strategy? How much money are we going to allocate towards this? Like, I've always been that guy to put the plan together, and now I just transfer that to whatever talent that I'm working with.
So that was before even you realized that was your business plan. That was you making a revenue model.
Exactly, and I had no idea that I was really even doing that at the time. And then now it's just kind of like I've just transferred that now to different parts of like the business.
Well, I mean, and it's funny that you say that. You took it from the perspective of being in their shoes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes kind of the best entrepreneurs and innovators is somebody who've experienced the problem. Say I could make it better. I can do it better. And you have agents in sports and agents in the music industry that aren't musicians, or never lived that life, and then are trying to manage a musician, moving forward. So it's nice that you take that perspective.
Yeah,
where,
because I've been there.
Exactly.
I've been there. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to go through all of this stuff. So it's like, if I can, exactly. And I was like, and I'm sure there's a lot more that I still have to see. The music industry is by far like the hardest and most competitive, next to the visual arts industry, in my opinion, to be in, because it's all about relationships, time, a little bit of luck and opportunity, and you got to be able to just like jump on it whenever the time comes.
You mentioned, being from Niagara and even going to Brock and the alumni connection, so your hometown. Like, do you find that the Canadian industry is almost like a small town itself? And
totally.
It's so those relationships, did you establish a lot of them from like when I say hometown, I mean Niagara?
I'm born and raised, and I've never left in terms of like living elsewhere, like anywhere else. If I have lived anywhere else, it's only been for like maybe a couple weeks, like at a time. Where that's either like Toronto or staying in New York or staying in Los Angeles for a little bit. But now I've always stayed here and developed, because we have the internet now. You know what I mean? And that's the power of the internet. I just feel like it's the best resource that we've ever been given. So why not capitalize on it? And then maybe if my optimum goal at the end of all this is I want to be mobile to like work whenever I want, when I want, wherever I want, with whoever I want. That's my big goal. And I feel like I'm on my
final goal.
That's my final goal, and I want to be able to do that between like New York, LA, Niagara, and kind of float between. That's my big end goal, with properties allocated in each different ways, or properties allocated anywhere else to create passive income to go on that. Anyways, I'm ranting.
Yeah, no. That's great. I mean, because you're what happens in a lot of entrepreneurs is they have the idea, they bring it to market, or the service, and they bring it to market, but they don't know how to make that better. They don't know how to jump to the next level, right? So oftentimes when you look at a graph for entrepreneur innovation, it's, people start kind of the hockey stick curve, but eventually it plateaus, and you need change. So the fact that you're already thinking that far in advance, say, okay, maybe I need some passive income to help supplement, some of the downtimes in the industry. That's very progressive of you.
Thank you.
To do that.
I appreciate it.
And like I said, whenever you're running a business, you want to make sure you're not relying on one product, one service, one aspect, that you diversify, so that if you have a downtime in one of your products or services, that you can recoup that with your other revenue stream. So very, very progressive and smart of you to do so.
I appreciate that, man. And I feel like that's the next big thing that I'm working on right now, is because people ask me what exactly does your company do? Like, I get that question.
What's your company? Introduce your company. What's your company name?
Yeah, my company name is Invittco, and it's the mother brand where all of my other brands or ideas operate under. That's where we're an incorporation now. We just incorporated this year, which is sweet. Nice. Which is, I'm very appreciative for that. And I remember when I even started the business, where I was like, wow, I'm making like $1,200 a month, just and I can work from my laptop, I can do whatever. And I thought that was sick. But then I knew that was just the starting point of it. And now it's transitioning. Now it's I have a team of 4 other people now. I am figuring out how to run systems and create a good work environment, and then capitalize on sales to feed the beast of the system, to then expand and grow. And then once one side of the business, our social media side, for example, is doing, we have just over 20 clients that we're servicing on a monthly basis. If I can then capitalize that and bring that to 50 all across around different parts of Ontario. Right now we have clients in Kingston, just outside of Toronto, New Jersey, New York, and Niagara right now. That's the main bread and butter. And then it's I want to capitalize that to bring that to 50, and then move and allocate some of those funds to maybe do a bigger event or something like that, and then move that, and then put more money into an influencer, or maybe even start my own record label, or do
I see.
that.
So it's almost do you almost break it down in a project sense, where you're let's start here, and then along the way you start bringing in those other skill sets and those other pieces.
Once it's built, and once the system is I feel it's good, and then we can just grow and build it from there. And I feel right now I'm in the process right now. I've never gone out and cold called sales. I've never done that yet.
Inbound, eh?
It's always been inbound. It's always been referral. It's always been I shouldn't say all of it. I would say 98% of it. There's 2 that I would say I went in and said, hey, I can do this for you. Which I feel when you get organic referrals and stuff, I feel that's kind of the best way, because people are then essentially selling your product or service for you, and the proof is in the pudding with that.
Exactly. You don't have to go out and market yourself. So
exactly.
you're safe on your own marketing costs, right? And it's a great validation when people are saying, you know, work with this guy.
Exactly.
This guy's the next big thing, right? So
Yeah.
So a little bit of Invittco, like you said, is the mother brand. So what are all the other
entities with it?
exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So right now we have the social media side of the company that's focused on like Facebook, Instagram. We'll do like your copywriting, creative writing, photo, video, website stuff. And then we have a separate section for websites. So we'll do like e-commerce platform design, web design, anything to do in that nature. And then we have the influencer management side, which is something that I spearhead mostly all of that, as opposed to other people, because that's all relationship based, and that's relationships that I've developed over the years. Right now, our roster of talent that we have access to is just shy of 8 million, which is really cool. So, and it's all in like different niches. So some are in the cannabis space, some are in the sex work or adult space, some of them are in the community, arts and culture, music. Like they're very, very different. And some of those industries I never thought I would be in my entire life, you know. So
but it's the hottest thing right now.
It is, you know, and that's the thing. I feel you got to be adaptive and innovative with like the times, and people just want to. And I found the biggest thing with working with like influencers or celebrities is they just want to work with someone that they know they can trust at the end of the day, and who's not going to screw them for money.
Yeah, take advantage of it, because that's the biggest thing, right? Some of these large organizations, I mean, you won't be a part of it, but you're giving up, 40% of your income just for them to manage you, right?
Piece of advice: if any management company says that they're taking more than 30% of anything that you do, run. Thank me later.
They're all your future influencers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Any big influencers you can give? You can name drop here.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm currently I do work with Jackie Childs. She's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, cannabis influencer in the space. She has just over 2 million followers on her platforms. Wow. I recently have started working with a actor / comedian by the name of John Franklin. Shout out John Franklin. He's based in New Jersey right now. He's just on the Netflix show The Circle right now. Wow. So working with him. I started working with this group from Niagara Falls called the Go Group, which we still keep in touch. They kind of dispersed and have gone into different ways, but
like the TikToker group.
The TikToker group, and they had just over 1 million too on their platforms, which was very cool. And then I have a list of like micro influencers too, people who have anywhere between like 10,000 to 100,000 followers. And people think that the more followers you have, the bigger like a brand can charge, which is true, but it's all about your engagement numbers. So it's like you want to make sure that your audience, like you can have like 10 million followers, but if you're getting 50 likes on a post, like, that's very bad. Exactly. Your audience is not like entertained by you. They're not going to care. And the rule with once you have like that power of like that following, you can transform that into a business. And all you need is 1,000 true fans and you can make a business. Come on. You have 1,000 true fans. The power of 1,000 true fans that I stick with is one of the philosophies that I've applied to influencers, that if they're willing to spend $60 on you for the year, that's $60,000 in revenue coming in. Yeah. Minus like whatever. That's you're not maybe like living like Beverly Hills lavishly, but you're living doing what you love. So that's the first step.
The floor, the ceiling is, we don't know where that goes.
Exactly.
But
yeah, you know what I mean. And the biggest thing in the influencer space now is subscription model based revenue, which is like whether that being an OnlyFans, a Patreon, an exclusive network. I've recently we've been talking with someone who works with Jake Paul's team about how they've monetized his close friends' Instagram stories, and we've been having those conversations with some of the other talent rosters too as well, which has been very cool.
So right now, for older folks like me, the main platforms that people are migrating to for influence.
Yeah, TikTok is like by far like the biggest thing right now. TikTok, Snapchat's also very good for revenue sharing too as well.
Really,
and Instagram. That's like the big things.
Wow. Yeah. So what's next? Any up and coming platforms, or is kind of TikTok?
No, and the next thing that's going to be after this is going to be NFTs and cryptocurrency. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing. It's a whole other can of worms that we can totally dive into if we really want to. But it's like, it is insane.
Conversation.
Yeah, it's so long. So it's like we lived through the internet 1.0 phase. Social media was like internet like 2.0, and now we're living through the 3.0 stage, which is like digital currency, NFTs, and owning like sharing intellectual property and actual intellectual ideas on a blockchain technology that cannot be like reversed. It's crazy. That's what I think is the next thing.
And then the metaverse.
Yeah, and then the metaverse, which who knows what that's really going to look like. Everyone's like taking their stab of it right now, but I honestly think
everyone's trying to capitalize.
Everyone's trying to capitalize on it right now, and it's still so early. I think NFTs, I think like organizations like, you know, NHL, NFL, NBA, like NBA Top Shots, we've already seen it right now. It's like once those mega organizations see the value with NFTs, the money is just going to be undeniable that they're eventually going to hop on board with. Yeah. So that's what I think. It's good for everyone to get educated in the crypto and NFT space right now, at least to understand it, because that's the biggest thing right now is no one really understands it.
So yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Maybe you can give a quick summary of to some listeners who don't know what an NFT
for sure. Is. And I'm no expert by any means, not financial advice, and I encourage everyone to do their own research as a disclaimer.
There you go.
Yes. But from my experience, so an NFT is a non-fungible token that can be purchased on a platform that is like OpenSea. OpenSea hosts stuff on the Ethereum blockchain, and or that's just an example. Or you can host stuff on different blockchains. But what it is essentially it can be an image, it can be a video clip, it can be a song. Like Kings of Leon just released their first album. They were the first band, I do believe, to release all of their songs as NFTs. Who was another rapper that did it? I think it was Lil. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name? There was another rapper that did it, but pretty much what an NFT does, it allows for your consumer or your audience to have partial ownership of it. So say it's Tory Lanez. Thank you, Matt. I remember that. My brain. So Tory Lanez released an album, and then so if you go to buy the single of Tory Lanez off this NFT on the blockchain, and then you go to resell it, you can implement in the blockchain or your NFT agreement what's called a smart contract. In the smart contract, you can say, we are going to allocate 10%, 20%, or whatever amount of royalties that is going to go back to the original creator of the NFT. So it's essentially capitalizing on the resale market. I'll give you like my brains are catching up to my thoughts. Is as many times as that song is resold by Tory Lanez, he is always going to get 10 to 20% or whatever agreement is in his contract forever. Yeah, forever. For royalty, like forever. Whereas now record labels, this is why record labels should be really scared or figure this out, is because now it's like, as long as if you're an artist and you have millions of followers, you can raise money in the crypto and blockchain space now to fund an entire record or to fund an entire album, and you don't even need record labels anymore, and you'll keep most of the royalties.
You know what, that actually just brought a thought to me, where I remember someone was telling me, you know, historically, you know, artists used to make all of their money on record sales, but then with streaming music, now they don't make as much, and that's when, you know, concerts are so expensive because they make all their money at concerts and touring.
Yeah, touring.
Are you saying it's kind of going back to where now the artist is they're making their money from like this style?
Yeah, and it's the new way of like going about doing it. So it's pretty much like saying, you know, you go to a thrift store and you see Nike stuff there. You buy it. Does Nike get a kickback on that? No. But in the NFT and the metaverse space, you would forever, no matter how many times it's resold. That's probably the best and simplest way that I can put it.
Wow, that is that's quite interesting. Eh?
Yeah, it's a wild, man. It's a.
So I gotta go download some Kings of Leon and Tory Lanez music. Yeah. I used to be a huge Kings of Leon fan. Actually.
Really?
Oh yeah, I went to a couple of their concerts. Really good show. Cool. Yeah, so I mean that's amazing. So you're getting into that space as well?
I'm getting more like educated into that space, and then once I feel like I know it like really really well, then I'm gonna start to encourage like the influencers or any like musicians or talent that I work with to get involved with it, because not only could it be putting a lot more revenue into their pockets, you can also be putting a lot more revenue into the audience, and sharing the wealth and sharing that type of experience now with your audience has never been done before, and that's something that I think every artist should explore doing. Absolutely.
So I know Matt would be talking, you know, about all your highs as a business, but you know every entrepreneur has their highs and their lows. So can you share some stories where perhaps, you know, things weren't going so well?
Yeah.
But this is the meat and potatoes over here. So some of the things that, you know, was it, you know, were you removed from a band at any point? Where was it where, you know, you had to say, you know, I need to pivot. I need to focus on regaining my composure, regaining my confidence, whatever the case may be, as a business owner.
Yeah.
Can you give any examples, or has it always been, you know?
No, oh gosh, no, heck no. It's been no. Like, I remember just during COVID, I had some clients, like some social media clients, like Stan, but I lost like maybe like people were on pause. Maybe about like half, if not more than half, was like on pause, and we're like, we have no idea what to do. So that was really scary for me. And I feel like I kind of operate really well under pressure because I don't give myself an option. Like, I have to figure this out. Like, I have to. Otherwise, like, I don't even think about the other words. Like, I have to figure this out. What ended up happening? So over the course of COVID, I tried to figure out like different ways on like how to help like different businesses. I ended up taking like some different contract work that just amazingly just happened to help up, and then my business like escalated like the best it's ever have been. But it took about like 3 or 4 months of like figuring out what the next move is for that. I've also lost money on event stuff that I've done before, and I've learned not to partner up with certain people on some certain things. You know, if it's one thing for someone to promise you and say, hey, we're going to do all this. It's another thing for them to actually like do it.
Of course.
You know, so be very selective on who you partner up with for things. I would definitely say that. And another big rock bottom, I wouldn't say this like as like rock bottom, but I remember I was out in London and I was helping my sister move, and then I had like 3 clients out of nowhere just like call me and saying like, business is bad right now. Inflation is killing us. We're stopping everything. Oh. I lost like thousands of dollars in like income that was like coming in, and I'm just like, how am I going to do this with like paying with the staff, paying with the office, like paying bills? I'm just like, I need to pick up the phone or like figure something out like really, really quick. So it's just pretty much of like staying like super persistent with things and not giving myself an option to saying like, okay, you know what? I believe that if one door closes, like, okay, it's another opportunity for something else to pop up.
Universe works in mysterious ways.
It does, yeah. It really, really does. And I feel like the good thing about the company is that even if it's like something's going on with social media, okay, we'll have an event to kind of haul us over for the next little bit. Or if an event's not doing well, we have these brand deals that are coming in over the next little bit, which we recently just launched a clothing line too, CYFproject.com. Get your merch. We donate all the proceeds right now towards a scholarship foundation in Niagara Falls for a student who wants to study mental health education at the post-secondary level. That's a long-term goal with that, but it's like having all these revenue streams. If like one of them's not like performing well, I'll figure out a way to make sure that it is performing, or if it's not for whatever reason, I'll figure out another revenue source to capitalize on within the business to at least hold us over until we can figure out what the next move is. So I think that's good in terms of being a business owner with diverse like income, is because you can always kind of allocate different things if massive problems were to ever occur.
You almost have like a buffer to say, like, if one revenue stream isn't doing like the best that you wanted it to be, you have these other revenue streams that you can sort of rely on while you get the other revenue stream that failed. You can get that back running.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And that's why the main focus right now is I'm going to be selling Invittco services so all across like southern Ontario for the next little bit to try and double what we're doing right now. And then that will be like the massive bread and butter to like allocate for other things within the business.
Yeah. So CYF. Yeah, why don't you, because you mentioned it, so what is that?
Yeah, so CYF stands for Create Your Future. It's the CYF Project, so the Create Your Future Project. And I've had this idea for the last like 3.5 years, and I've always wanted to own like my own like clothing line or merch line or do something with that.
Everyone wants to have their own clothing.
Right? Yeah, or just like something like cool. And I want to wear something cool where it's like I'm empowered, but like what's the messaging? Like why do I wear this? Like what's cool about this? So I created the clothing line with the premise of creating opportunities and motivating people to feel like they can do anything that they want in life, so they have their ability to create their future. That's the essential reason why I created it. And the play on the words with that is that we actually help invest in the future leaders of the mental health education space with that. So that's the big thing with that. We gave our first $1,000 scholarship at St. Michael Catholic High School here in Niagara Falls, and I was super happy with that. And then we're going to be opening up our first scholarship actually in the States with John Franklin, which is very, very cool. We're going to be donating some money to a student who wants to study mental health education at his high school that he went to in New Jersey. So it's going to be our first international crack of donating something and creating an opportunity on an international level.
So can I buy an NFT for a CYF?
Oh, yeah, you creating CYF NFTs?
Yeah, that is the plan. I do want to create CYF NFTs. That is definitely the plan. But I know that the CYF is it's gonna take a lot of time before, or something could happen overnight. You never know. But I know it's one thing is I have to stay really consistent with it. And now we also have the CYF podcast, which is how we spread the messaging and we interview entrepreneurs, creators, and say, hey, what did you do to create your future? That's it. So
I'm shocked you didn't bring any merch. I
know. I was thinking about wearing some merch today.
I really thought I was going to be handed a t-shirt to wear today.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. But yeah, and the CYF Project podcast is hosted right here at the Niagara Falls Virus and Innovation Hub. So be sure, if you haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel or dropped a comment, please do so. It really helps us. Thank you.
Awesome.
Plug.
I know Emma's been dying to get, and I've been talking so much.
I think we've kind of gotten to a point where we've discussed, your transition from here to there, and just how you've always taken a business approach to all of your endeavors. And I know we just discussed some lows. So just to summarize from the top, I wanted to maybe now ask for your 5 tips and tricks that we want to always dive into. No pressure, but yeah, just
for sure.
Give me some five tips.
5 tips. I would definitely say be nice to everyone you meet. For sure. Be nice to everyone.
Never burn your bridges, as my mother said.
Yeah, never burn your bridges unless someone screws you over for your money or your time.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 people have done that.
then it's an exception, and you're like, okay,
exactly.
That's okay.
And then hey, you just know, hey, you know what? I'm just not doing that. So I would say be nice to everyone that you meet. Stay consistent with it. That's something that I still, I think that's something that a lot of people like, including myself, like still struggle with, but stay consistent, because eventually if you keep doing it enough, you're naturally going to get better. And if you don't, then maybe it's time to figure something else out.
Absolutely.
Be nice, stay consistent, work hard, work smart at the same time too. Like, I feel like if you can do both of those things at the same time, in terms of, knowing what you can maybe outsource or delegate or do something different to kind of free up more time so you can focus on something else where you're working hard at the same time too. I feel like that's when the best things happen.
It's a very interesting point.
Right?
Yeah.
Work hard and smart at the same time. And then the other one, I would just say, just have a positive attitude, which I guess is kind of the same as being nice, but
it's important.
Have a positive attitude. Yeah.
So that's 3. So give us 2 more.
Yeah.
Put them on the spot like this.
5. Math wasn't a strong point.
Absolutely. No. The other thing is, I would say, just, man, that's the thing. I'm in such a relationship based industry that it's like relationships are literally everything at the end of the day. I can honestly say genuinely, I care more about the relationships that I have than the money in my bank account, because I know through the relationships that I have, the money in my bank account will become from that.
Yeah.
No matter what.
That's not just with your clientele. Like, do you have mentors, or do you have some other people in your network who just help you?
Yes, absolutely. And this is like I'm going to name drop for the next little bit here. And this is like a testament of, like, I think being at the right place at the right time, seizing the right opportunity, and just kind of like, capitalizing on just having conversations, which I've been very fortunate enough to work with Chris Dabrowski, who's created Niagara Falls Comic-Con here too in the Niagara Falls area. He's become like a mentor figure to me, and now he's a business partner of mine and some stuff, which is very, very cool. I met Taylor Swift's first manager at the
Swift first.
Yeah, no, I did not meet her, not yet.
No, she's too busy.
And that's the thing. I always say
flying her private jet around.
And that's another thing. And if someone says like a famous person, have you met them? I always go, not yet. I always say not yet.
Manifestation.
Yeah, because you never know. You know what I mean?
That's a whole other
of course.
Amazing manifestations. I'm so into manifestation.
I'm so into manifestation. Yeah. We should talk about that afterwards too. I met Rick Barker, who was Taylor Swift's first manager. I met him at Canadian Music Week. He said he had an artist here in Canada that he was looking to springboard. He had a conversation with myself and my buddy Andre Caden Black, and we ended up managing her. We ended up working with him too over the past couple months, and then from there we ended up working with American Idol, the first Canadian team to work with American Idol, which was very cool. And then through Rick, we met Sandra Shalinsky, who is the entertainment lawyer for The Weeknd, and he was the one who was responsible for doing like the $90 gazillion deal with Live Nation, and he kind of like really opened up the perspective on like okay, you should treat the music industry like this, and this, and went to his house. He had just plethoras of gold records, which is absolutely mind blowing. And then, been very fortunate enough to sit in the room with some of like the biggest record labels in the world, and some leaders of industry and some major sports organizations
it
too.
sounds like even just throughout the years, I'm not sure the timeline of all of those, but what kept you humble? Was it staying in Niagara? Like, why didn't you ever move out to LA or any of those big where, it sounded like you wanted to be around the celebrities and the influencers. So why did you
I know, and that's the thing. I feel like I feel like I have a passion for Niagara because I feel like people don't think that it's possible to do it if you live here. And I want people to know that it is possible to do it if you live here. And you don't have to, and the thing is, I'm not saying that I want to live here maybe full time, which I do. I'm open to whatever the universe is going to bring me over the next couple of years, but I want to be mobile. Like I said earlier before the cameras rolling, I want to be mobile and like live in like LA, New York, or Toronto, and then have like a home base. And I think like Niagara will always be that home base for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But also it's like I want to travel and see the world,
Well, I mean, you brought up that, with the internet, you can run a business from anywhere.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Niagara is perfect. I mean, you can have the good quality of life.
Yep.
But still be able to be successful.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And just also it's just like really expensive right now. Like, like 27, looking at my finances, like I want to own property. And then that's my next step as like a personal entrepreneur is like creating those other streams of revenue so I can capitalize on traveling wherever and not having to worry about a lot of finances coming through. So that's my next step outside of like the business stuff. I'm always thinking ahead and like in terms of
I will purchase an NFT for one of your houses.
Yeah. sounds great.
Yeah, I saw something that it's like a mortgage or crypto kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people might do that, but I think we're a decade or so away.
Yeah, that's a whole
years
interesting. Yeah.
So I want to go back to kind of the manifestation because I think that's very, very important. We oftentimes get so busy running the day-to-day operations of our lives that we don't take the time to, have this manifestation and to really think of, this is where I want to be, this is how I'm going to get there, and kind of putting it to use. So can you kind of explain some of the routines you have or some of the tips that you have to have strong manifestation, whether it's through meditation or whatever the case is?
I should meditate. I don't.
No.
I am a super severe ADHD brain. Can't turn my brain off ever, which really, really sucks. I try to do it late at night. I've
tried it before, and
How long did you?
normally like just 15-minute sessions, but like doing it every day. Like I have friends who have done it. I don't know if they still do it, but there was a long period of time, a couple months, they were doing it every day.
Wow.
And you notice like
Big difference?
like drastic changes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just way more calm and everything, like zero stress at all too.
Wow,
for sure.
I need
That's good. And that's another buddy asked me, he's like, how do you deal with stress? And honestly, it's like, I don't really think about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let it come and go.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I get stressed because I always want to make sure that I'm doing, like, a really, really good job on, like, whatever it is that, like, I'm doing. Like, for example, the mentorship program that I did with Simple Plan and Our Lady of Peace, they have an extension called the Canadian Music Incubator where they foster upcoming talent. And they called me and said, hey, we want you to project manage these 8 events. You're our first call because the brand's expanding. It's presented by TD Music. And I was like, wow. Sick. I'm so appreciative and so humble that you would even ask me to do something like that. So shout out CMI, Coalition Music in Toronto. You're amazing. Good quote about manifestation though, going back to that, is one thing that that sticks with me is like the universe doesn't give you what you want. The universe gives you what you become. So it's like it's up to you to create your future and then have everything come to you as opposed to you trying as opposed to you trying to like go out and like trying to say like try and chase the money with that. It's like why don't you just focus on like building your thing and then the money will come and chase you.
Exactly.
So I think
can't be greedy like
no,
that.
you can't be greedy and then help those around you and then they'll help lift you up too at the end of the day because it's all about helping people.
Absolutely, and just putting positive vibes out there and then getting those in return.
Yeah.
Right.
I write down a lot of stuff too. I write down stuff. It's like, okay, I would, I want to be able to, like pay off the mortgage of my parents' house. I want to be able to surprise my mom with $10,000. I want to, before the slap incident, but still, regardless, controversial topic, hang out with Will Smith and sit down and figure out like how because he's done like a career,
a pre-Oscar Will Smith,
and like even like Pete Wentz, who's the bassist of Fall Out Boy, where he's like bassist of one of the biggest pop punk bands of all time, but he owns a nightclub, he owns a media production company, he owns a record label, he does all this stuff, and I'm just like, I want to know what that guy did or what he's doing to figure out how he's doing it because that's the stuff I want to do.
So how do you approach that? You want to get in contact with this guy and you say, you know what, I'm going to do it. Because, I mean, a lot of other people, whether you're trying to achieve sales and you want to reach out to a top CEO of a company, whether you want to become a manager, you want to reach out to influencers or athletes. So How do you do it?
That's a really good question. So there's a couple ways. So for the social media side of the business, what I did is I actually hired a VA, my first VA that I ever hired, and a virtual assistant. And what I did is I got them to collect data from 500 pizzerias all across different cities in Southern Ontario. And what I did is I drafted up 500 emails and sent them all out to people, and I'm currently following up with phone calls right now on how to do it. That's one way to go about doing it if you want to do like an aggressive sales approach. Well, another thing that I did too with the celebrities is oftentimes they'll have a contact info, or maybe they'll have a manager, or maybe they won't at the time. You can try sending them a DM. Most of the time that doesn't work. Depends actually, but I would say if there's like an email contact, like how it happened with John was I saw that his email was just linked in his Instagram bio, and I was like, okay, this could be a team member, this could be someone behind him, I'm not really too sure. And I sent him an email, very short, very sweet, because these people do not have time to read a long proposal. You just gotta be straight to the point, like, you know, five sentences, enough to like create that mystery of a hook to show like, okay, you could be legit and provide some value. And then go ahead and reach out to him. And then he got back to me within like 5 minutes. And then also getting back to people right away is like the biggest thing. So if someone reaches out to you and you get back to them within 1 minute, they're gonna be like, wow, this guy's on it. As opposed to like, okay, this guy hasn't gotten back to me for the last 2 hours or a day. Like, really? You know what I mean?
I always have to wait. Wait a little bit. You don't want to be like, oh, like this guy's just waiting around his phone. He's just waiting for this text back, waiting for this email.
I always try and get everything done as fast and efficiently as possible when it comes to communication, especially when it comes to do with anything like the press or like the media or whatever. Like we coordinated an interview with this other influencers that I work with Rolling Stone, and we got like I wanted to make sure it's like we got to the emails with them like as soon as they replied, we got back to them within 5 minutes. Oh yeah. You know, like that's just, I feel like that's the courtesy, and being in the space that I'm in, if you can operate fast and effectively and you can get your point across, then I think there'll be work for forever for you.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you want to, like I said, emails now are, you know, equivalent to a text message. You want to make sure you're on them, you got their attention.
Yeah.
I mean, you will learn, young grasshopper.
Yeah.
I think that leaves the last.
Am I the young grasshopper?
Yeah, young grasshopper.
Right? Yeah, no, for sure. Like that. I
It's
just
a
think
good
that's the way.
impression.
Right? And it just goes to show that the next time that they work with you or whatever, they know that you're going to pick up the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Right.
And you mentioned pizzerias there, but that'll be for when you return.
Yeah.
Reaching out to 500 pizzerias. It's a crazy story.
Yeah, that's a crazy one that I'm doing.
You're gonna
right
do
now.
some influencing.
We'll
for
see.
some
Oh, and then I have another list of about 500 other businesses that our teams developed, and that we're gonna reach out to that too for social media stuff. The pizzerias is a separate thing that we're trying to pitch an online ordering software for that. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But then I have a list of 500 other businesses who are more geared in like the Invittco space that we're gonna try and do Invittco work for.
Without giving away your like the secret sauce.
I don't care. The thing is, I can tell everyone exactly how I do literally everything because like we'll see who actually does the work. So that's great. You know,
because I'm just curious because I'm sure even through the pandemic, you noticed there was 100,000 digital marketing agencies that popped up. Yes. Everyone
So
and their cousin,
business.
everyone is doing it. What's different about Invittco? What do you offer to your clients?
we care about you.
Yeah.
We care about you. I know. Well, actually, it's like if you pick up the phone, I'll answer right away. And if I don't pick up the phone, it's because I'm on a phone call or I'm in a meeting or whatever. I'll make sure that I will get back to you, and whatever it is that you want done, we will make it happen for you. No matter what, we will figure it out. That's it. That's the big.
So you're just working around the clock.
Working around the clock, man, and that's and you know I did do that a lot, like worked around the clock, like when I really started, but now. As I'm getting older, it comes back to the personal time management thing. I'm trying to like, okay, how do I kind of like clock out in terms of like taking an hour here to like, you know, even just like, just hang out with my girlfriend, go for a hike with our dog and not worry about stuff like that. But the thing is, I feel like, you know, I'm sure you can probably relate to this too. Like you see something or you think of something, it's just like, okay, we could do this. And it's like, I'll write down something really quick. Or it's like, you know what I mean? Or it's like, maybe we should do this. So I'm trying to get really better at managing my time. So I'm not so hyper focused on like, how can we expand the brand and grow always. So I'm learning that as I get older.
But that's the beauty of it, is that people don't realize how many ideas they come up with on a daily basis and how many ideas just fly away. Right. Yeah. So if you have the opportunity to write it down, write it down. You don't have to act on it. I do the same thing. Like I said, I'll go out with my family, with my daughters and my wife, and all of a sudden I'm like, Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I could probably make something better. I mean,
For
write it
sure.
down quickly, right? And then, I mean, you might visit it a couple months later, but at least it's there.
Totally.
And you have to take advantage of that. And I mean,
I have a notepad in my phone of just ideas, and
Yeah.
it's probably like, oh my gosh, like 300 in there. That like I'm
half of them won't even work. right?
Exactly, you know, but it's just
whatever.
like it's an idea for whatever. No better, and some of them are small, some of them are big.
Most people don't even write their ideas down. They're just like, oh, I'll just remember this for later.
Exactly.
And then they're laying there later. They're like, oh,
I forgot what it
I
was.
forgot what it was.
I know.
I
Write it down,
suffer
man.
from waking up in the middle of the night and be like, oh my God, and drawing something really quick. I had a dream about it, but I mean,
Light bulb went off in Dan's head.
Yeah. for sure.
all the time. I mean,
I believe that.
not all the time, pretty rarely actually, but but I know we're running short on time here. I know we're reaching about our 45 minutes mark here, or even more. So any last minute tips you want to give anybody? Like I said, kind of any philosophies that you go by to run your business for these young entrepreneurs or older entrepreneurs listening?
Be kind to everyone you meet because you never know what opportunity it can lead to in the future.
That's a very, very good point. And
It's a good Niagara point again too, with like the hometown. And
Yeah.
it's a small town.
And it's a small town, and that's the thing. If you have, that's the catch-22 with being in small towns, because if you do something bad with the one thing or with one person, they could tell some other people, and that could hurt your chances of doing something else. That's why it's like always be nice and get your work done in a timely manner.
Be aware of the grapevine.
Yeah, you know, and that's why I'm excited to really expand the business and try and go out there. You know, like my first intern student, he lives in London. He's like, man, I got 2 employees ready for you to go if you want to expand to London right away. I'm like, okay, that's great, but like let's get there first.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like that's really good. But I'm happy that I've been able to create that work culture, that business culture where people are so fired up that they want to do stuff. Because one of my other goals that I want to do is I want to be like the best boss in like the history of the universe. You know. And I think I will be.
We'll get you a TV show.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
For sure.
I think you got
know?
some stiff competition on that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, sorry, Matt. You don't compare.
No, I know.
No, I resonate with that. Like I said, just be nice and kind to everybody because you don't know who those people know.
Exactly.
You don't know what connections they have. You don't know what those people will say, right? So the nicer you are, the more positive you are, then you just get that back.
Yeah.
I mean,
You get out what you put. You get back what you put out.
It-
you know?
that's exactly
That's
it.
really.
You know,
It's
the-
really. It sounds so cliche, but like, man, it's like it's so true.
But that's the way of the universe, right? It's what you put out is what you receive. I mean, classic example is you're running late for work.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, every single light you hit is red. All of a sudden, the
I
train
know.
comes because you're putting all that negative energy.
I know.
Right? So you just gotta alter that perception, alter that philosophy, stay positive,
Yep.
and then work hard, and great things will come to you.
100%. And if I'm ever having like a small first world problems day like that, I always just say I'm blessed because I am in total control of what happens, and I have people who look up to me who are looking for the answers. And if I don't have the answers, then that's not good.
Yeah,
so I want to
exactly.
make sure that I can always, reflect and be like, I'm really grateful for this, and then that will allocate, and that will change the mood.
It's checking yourself, right?
Yeah,
Checking
exactly.
yourself, staying humble, staying positive, and
You know.
then great things will happen.
Absolutely.
There's always gratitude to be had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so before we end, Matt, how can people get a hold of you? How can people follow your
Yep.
social
Plug all
media?
the
For sure,
socials
plug
right
all the
now.
socials. For Invittco stuff, you can literally find us at Invittco. So
Spelling?
INVITTCO. If you want to stay up to date with any of the stuff happening with the CYF podcast or the project, you can follow us at CYFproject.com on Instagram, or check us out at CYFproject.com on our website. And then for any personal stuff to see what everything's going on, you can follow me at Matt Anthony with 2 Y's at the end of Anthony.
Perfect. And then Emma, give us our plugs for our socials. Where can people
yeah.
find this podcast?
Niagara Falls Ryerson Innovation Hub, located Zimmerman Avenue, downtown Niagara Falls. I do the plug all the time on the podcast. So.
He's got it.
A lot more energetic than me. That's
He's got to
awesome.
memorize
Yeah,
now.
I do. Yeah.
But
yeah.
of course, this was the Made in the Mist podcast, and you can find us on the Spotify, Apple Podcast. We do have YouTube channels, all under the handle actually Spark Innovation Canada, and that's our social media as well as the NFRI_hub is for the NFRH program.
Amazing.
Nice.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Matt. I'm
guys.
sure we're going to have you back on this podcast later
to.
on this year, see how you're progressing. And like I said, thank you for sharing your tips and advice and for being such a young, successful entrepreneur from Niagara who is really making a difference for the community on not only a marketing level, but also on a philanthropic level as well.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
Providing
man.
a lot of opportunities, focusing on mental health, which is huge I know that you've been involved in a lot of mental health fairs and stuff like that too. So I know the community really respects and appreciates that. So thank you so much.
you.
That is all the time that we have for today. We'll be coming back in a few weeks with another podcast, a very, very special guest, another rock star from the Niagara region who made it a very successful opportunity for themselves in the entrepreneurship space. So thank you so much. We're signing off. Again, my name is Dan. We have
Emma's here.
And I'm Sam.
And I'm Matt Anthony. Follow us.
We'll talk to everybody soon. Thank you so much. Bye.
Peace.